All right. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed 4th of July. I know the Senate President enjoyed hearing the Wu-Tang Clan being played by the BSO last night. It is great to be here with you all, and thank you for joining us for this very special moment today as we are celebrating someone who doesn't get celebrated often enough. If it was up to me, Dr. Santelices, we are all here today because we want to congratulate you on 6 years of service as the CEO of Baltimore City Public Schools system. This summer, you will enter your 7th year as leading our city schools, and if you add the previous time, that's a lot longer than that, and become the longest serving leader of the school district in more than 30 years. The only person to serve longer was Alice Pender, who served 8 years. Their presence here today reflects the confidence that we all have in you, Dr. S., and our gratitude for your leadership and tireless work on behalf of our young people and families. But we have our Senate President, Bill Ferguson, here today, my Senator, Corey McCray, Delegate Maggie McIntosh is off of her retirement tour just for you. Delegate Stephanie Smith is here, my delegate, our State Superintendent, School Board Chair, Jeanette Richardson, as well as Vice Chair McFadden, former board chair, and my principal, Linda Chinia, and Marnell Cooper. And from our faith community, I know I saw him in the back, Pastor Matt Stevens, and we also have Pastor Tony Draper. And on behalf of the city, I want to salute you really for being a beacon of light, a steady presence, and for caring deeply about our young people. We know that you inherited a job that came with many challenges and no instructional manual. I know a little bit about that. But you are always on the front lines, and most importantly, you always put our children first. And for me personally, it's always great to see someone who cares so much about young people, even when people aren't looking, even when you and I are discussing something horrible that's happened to one of our young people or their families, and seeing and hearing in your voice and seeing in your eyes the frustration, the care, the worry about those young people means a lot. And Dr. S., your talent, your enthusiasm, experience, and passion has set our young people up for success time and time again, despite what many people may think, especially those who don't know any better. Under your leadership, last year we opened 6 new school buildings, and repeat that, 6 in 1 year, which is a record for the school system through our 21st Century Schools program. And as of spring 2022, 98 schools in our system have implemented an extended learning program, and the goal is for all schools to implement a program in the upcoming school years. At least 10 additional high schools will adopt the pre-AP curriculum, courses designed by the College Board to prepare 9th and 10th graders for AP classes later in their high school career. And the number of advanced placement AP courses sections increased from 229 sections to 252, with a corresponding increase of 284 seats. And this past year, and for the first time, students were able to take gifted and advanced learning programs at every school in the district. So young people didn't have to do like I did and catch the bus from Park Heights to Roland Park, because everyone had gifted and talented classes, fulfilling a key component of the City Schools 2020 Gifted and Advanced Learning Policy, fostering excellence in our young people right here in Baltimore. And with all that great work, we know other cities would love to have you, and they still would love to have you because they can't. But Dr. Santelices, let me be the first of many people to remind you that we want you here, we need you here, and we love you here in Baltimore, and realize how fortunate we are to have you. Congratulations on a great 6 years, and you got 6 more to go. Keep up the great work. Now I will turn it over to our Senate President, Senate President Ferguson. Mr. President.
Hand for the mayor, please. Said it incredibly well. And if I could ask just a bit of a change, if I could ask the City Senate Delegation Chair, Senator Corey McCray, to join me. When we walked in this morning, the chair of the Appropriations Committee and I just happened to pull in front of City Hall together, and we get out of the car, and lo and behold, it's Dr. Santelises walking up there. Well, she didn't know that this press conference was happening. And so, as we do and have learned in Annapolis for Maggie and I to have sort of a secret language, sort of gave each other that look and said, look, we're going to come up with something, and we got to make sure she doesn't figure out why she's actually here. And so I think she was, in fact, surprised. Can we confirm? Yes. So it is very much, I think, Dr. Santelises thought she would be here for a summer learning. Of course she would be here for summer learning because that is what she cares about, and that's why she is so incredibly effective at this job. But look, there are two jobs that are some of the hardest jobs in the country. It's being a big city mayor, and it's being the superintendent of a big city school system. These are the two hardest positions out there. And the reason they're so hard is because these are complex, difficult systems with lots of history, lots of context, lots of politics, lots of interests here and there, and navigating those waters to move the needle is something that I think people underestimate the challenge of. Every single day is a fight for progress, every single day. And what really matters when you look across the country, stability is what matters. When you have stability in leadership and you have confidence in those leaders, that's when you see transformative change. Now, many folks also don't know that I actually had the opportunity, my wife and I both had the opportunity of working with Dr. Santelises when we worked for the school system. And that's when she was the chief academic officer. And there was something that she always used to say was really challenge the question, think differently about the problem. How can we approach this differently? Well, with 6 years with the school system, what we're seeing is a truly transformative moment in our city schools. We heard about the school construction, which is not just for the city of Baltimore a record. Baltimore City has constructed more 21st century new schools than any school district in the entire country. In the entire country. We are a national leader when it comes to new school construction. And that's because of the partnership that has happened across the board. So where are we leading now? We have 50,000 students who have individualized learning plans. This is going to be a national movement moving forward. We've got 18 high schools that have new post-secondary advisors helping young people think about their career pathways beyond high school and really having a plan for after they graduate. And we have 85% of our schools, especially now post-pandemic, with student wholeness coordinators that are looking at the whole student, helping them recover, see their full potential for their entire humanity, not just their academic scores. It's why I'm joined here today with our City Senate Delegation Chair, Senator McCray, for a citation for 6 years because, ladies and gentlemen, this is historic and this matters. And I just am so thankful, Dr. Santelises, for your passion, your caring, and for what you have invested in the city of Baltimore. And I can't wait for the years ahead where we really, post-pandemic, create a school system that everyone knows is possible if we come together and create it. So with that, let me hand it over to Senator McCray, who has a citation to provide.
Thank you, Dr. Santelises. Just want to say a few words just because how special you are. I think about as a Baltimorean, a product of Baltimore City Public Schools. I think about as a stakeholder with 4 young children in public schools. And I think about we have the right leader. I think about the challenges that we face in our great city of Baltimore, but I know that with pre-pandemic, the academic gains that you were making for our young people because we were digging in the weeds and being able to see that come to fruition, I say thank you. I watched you navigate this pandemic, you and your team, and set precedent so that other people can be able to model. So Dr. Santelises, I say thank you. On behalf of the entire City Senate delegation, we think about a lot of the programs that you set up with ESSER dollars. We think about getting young people, 6th and 7th graders, not meet them at high school, meet them at middle school to think about what does that career path look like. We think about my daughter. She was able to start the day going to school for the first time and being able to go and get extra learning during the summer and get paid during that. Dr. Santelises, I say thank you. Brothers and sisters, I'm here on behalf of the entire City Senate delegation. That's Senator Joe Carter, Senator Antonio Hayes, Senator Mary Washington, our Senate President, and Senator Charles Sidnor to present our CEO, our school CEO, a citation for the 6 years that she has been there navigating these tough challenges for our great city of Baltimore and knowing that we're going to come out even greater and even stronger. So Dr. Santelises, celebrating 6 years of dedication, commitment, and service as Chief Executive Officer of Baltimore City Public Schools, we appreciate your continued efforts and leadership on behalf of the entire City Senate delegation. Thank you.
Without further ado, we'd like to invite up our appropriations chair and just true leader for the generations for the city, Maggie McIntosh.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to have the House Delegation Chair join me. This is Delegate Stephanie Smith, if you don't know her, mother of a Baltimore City Public Schools student, correct?
Yes, of course.
And a second one on the way.
On the way.
On the way to school. No, not
No,
on the
no,
way.
We're done.
We're done. I want to follow up with what President Ferguson said, recounting that moment when we walked out of our cars and there was Dr. Santelises walking into this building, and we thought, what do we do? What do we say? Well, it was even funnier when we got in here and to have her, Dr. Santelises, actually look at me and say, I think it's a laugh that you got drug into this press conference. Because she thought the press conference was about early childhood, something, I don't know, you know, and so she's telling me, and I said to her, well, you know how it goes. Sometimes I get the last laugh. So, Bill Ferguson, you and I get the last laugh, all right? I do want to follow up on what Bill talked about, which is your incredible partnership with those of us in the delegation and with the education community broadly in the state. You've been a role model, absolute role model, for so many other people who are working within school systems across the state. You know, we started out this last term of office with basically having a history of historically underfunded schools, especially in locations like Baltimore, Prince George's County, Somerset, wherever there was, unfortunately, and it was linked, populations of students, of families growing up in poverty. In the Thornton process, the Thornton Commission, we heard startling testimony about how this linkage between concentration of poverty created incredible roadblocks for our children. I don't think we could have gotten the formula we got, the recognition in that formula that passed, because if it hadn't been for you, Dr. Santelises, and I mean that, while we were working on a blueprint for Maryland, you were working on the blueprint for Baltimore City Schools. And Dr. Kerwin came to Baltimore, and he met with you, and he came back to the commission. He announced that day, you know, Baltimore City is doing what we need to do. And so I want you to know that, in fact, I believe, and I've always believed in my heart, that what we did in the state of Maryland was very much modeled after your thinking, your commitment, and your tenacity to help the children of Baltimore. The other area that I want to mention that, you know, I think is incredible is that we do have the 21st century schools, and we do have this incredible program that is actually nearing an end now, where we have renovated or built so many new schools for Baltimore City kids. There's another wave coming, and I know it is your personal commitment to see the high schools in Baltimore City renewed, renovated, and rebuilt. And that commitment, I think we will see play out in the next 5 to 6 years. So you have to stay 12 years. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at her right now. You have to stay 12 years so that you can cut the ribbon on incredible schools like Frederick Douglass, Poly, City, Western, all of those great high schools. And I leave you with one whoops, she always gets emotional about me. I'm getting emotional about it. I'm going to leave you with one story. I was driving to, I don't know where, out of my district, and I passed Polly, and I looked at the sign. This is about a couple of years ago, and it said, you know, Polly, the 28th best STEM school in the country. I almost slammed on the brakes, and I went, 28th in the country? This is incredible. I mean, this is the story everybody in Baltimore ought to hear, that this school is 28th in the country. These kids, these students graduate in this incredible school. And I know because I asked, how did this happen? To a friend of mine, Linda Eberhardt, and she said, it happened because of Dr. Sandelises. It happened because she walked in that school as chief academic officer and said, you should be doing more to challenge these kids. She has put these programs in place. The kids have been challenged, and they're meeting the challenge. And so thank you very much for the next 6 years of your life.
I know it's not often that a politician says, I wasn't going to come up here and speak, but I really wasn't. But I feel moved just to share a couple of things. As Delegate McIntosh mentioned, I have a rising third grader and I have a 3-year-old. And one of the things that many families that are growing in Baltimore think about is, are they going to entrust their most precious resource, their children, to the public schools? And I can say, without a doubt, if it were not for the leadership of Dr. Sandelises, I think there are many neighbors and friends of mine that maybe would not be as committed to this. And I can say personally, when I look at so many of my colleagues who are elected officials and are raising children, so many of them have their kids in these public schools. And I think that's a very visible commitment, not only to the schools writ large, but to her leadership. When we're in Annapolis fighting for more resources for public schools, we have a unique skin in the game because we can say that we see the fruit. We see the transformation, and we see the movement forward because of the leadership team that Dr. Sandelises has put together. Now, I know this is not an easy job. There are always a lot of challenges, some anticipated and some, like a global pandemic, you could never imagine happening. But I can say without a doubt that city schools did not miss a beat despite the tremendous challenges they faced in the wake of the pandemic. And I will say, seeing up close and personal how quickly they ensured children had food, had access to food for an indeterminate amount of time, that we were able to get to educating, online. I remember that last day, I believe it was either March 17th or 18th, when my son came home from school, and I was in Annapolis, but my mother was at the home, and she said the book bags were just full of food. And I get emotional thinking about how many kids needed what was in those book bags on the way home, not knowing they weren't going to see their caring teachers and paraprofessionals and librarians for a long time. So I just want to say thank you to Dr. Sandelises from the bottom of my heart for always, not just figuratively, but literally wrapping your heart and arms around the children of Baltimore City Public Schools, and also for your many staff members who many people do not know, but you also toil in the vineyard with her, often without recognition, and we know that no one makes things like this happen alone. They make it happen with a team, so thank you to all.
And my last little job here is to bring forth the chair of the Baltimore City School Board, Dr. Richardson.
Bring this up a little more, okay. Congratulations, Dr. Sandelises. It is truly a pleasure to witness such a deserving person as you be honored for becoming the longest serving city school CEO. As the board chair for the Baltimore City Board of School Commissioners, I have the privilege to work closely with you and see firsthand your dedication to students and staff of Baltimore City Public Schools. You work tirelessly to ensure students and staff are supported, heard, and exposed to a variety of knowledge for personal and professional growth. You have encountered several unprecedented challenges as CEO and learned to navigate through these uncertain times while still finding creative ways to serve our students and staff. The efforts you have made to keep students, parents, and staff safe and informed do not go unnoticed. I applaud your discipline, knowledge, skills, and overall essence. I am thankful to the Board of School Commissioners for making such a wise decision in selecting you. For you are the perfect person to bear the enormous responsibilities of the position. I know, and you and I have spoken before, that this is, I want to look at you when I say this is a divine appointment. And you and I have had conversations about that. And I just want to thank you for being led by the Spirit and for allowing the Spirit to lead you to run the system. And over the next 6 years, I'm going to put that in the atmosphere. Think of what you want for our students and our city. And the scripture says that God will do exceedingly and abundantly above all you can ask or think. So I am just so happy to be able to have served with you. Congratulations again, and I'm excited to see where your journey continues to take you.
All right, I'm back now. So we're going to do one last thing, Dr. S. We're going to do a mayoral salute. And you know me well enough to know I don't like doing these, but for you, I'll do it. On behalf of the citizens of Baltimore, I am pleased to salute Dr. Sonia Santelises in recognition of your outstanding tenure as the CEO of Baltimore City Public Schools. Appointed in 2016, you are currently the longest-serving leader of city schools in more than 30 years. You've encountered a number of challenges over the past few years, a budget deficit that resulted in layoffs, regular criticism from local media, that should be bolded, and the difficulties of navigating the school system throughout the pandemic. This year, the district will receive an unprecedented infusion of federal and state dollars, including $689 million in federal pandemic funding over several years and a once-in-a-generation state investment in education. You have demonstrated your belief in Baltimore's children and are poised to make a difference continuing in the coming years. On behalf of the people of Baltimore, I commend you for your continuing commitment to the education and development of our young people. Signed by myself, Mayor Brandon Scott. Speech? Yes. That will be you.
Okay, well, I was prepped for a summer school speech.
Well, you can talk about summer school in your speech. That's quite all right. They need to know about that too, but yes, go ahead.
Wow. So I have to say that I truly am surprised. I'm glad that there were a lot of speakers so that I could get myself a little bit together. But I really am truly, truly thankful for the last 6 years. The support of the folks behind me, the support of the people who are not here, many whom are out in the communities, the people of Baltimore City who stop and tap me on the shoulder and say, you know we're praying for you, the people who really believe in our young people, who come out and serve in our schools, the principals who, my God, I actually think the principalship is the hardest job right now as it ever was, and they are amazing. They told me the other day, a couple of them said, you know, we get mad at you from time to time, but we still love you. And I want them to know that I would not be standing here without them. The thousands of teachers, we have so many amazing, talented teachers. I had dinner a couple of weeks ago with our Teachers of the Year, and we have some of the best anywhere, not only in terms of just their pedagogy, but in terms of their absolute effusive and visceral commitment to protect and educate our children. I am proud to serve in a city that really has wrapped its arms around its children, and you can see that in no other way than what you heard today with things that go beyond the schoolhouse. The food, the housing, the connections, people who said, I've got a laptop and I know our kids need laptops. These schools need to be our city schools. They need to be returned to the people of Baltimore. And I want you all to know that my prayer is that the fruit that has been sown in love and deliberately reveals a full harvest that regains those academic increases we were experiencing before the pandemic. That means that it's not just one school that's 28th in the nation for STEM, but it includes many schools that are sending young people into careers. We have, for the first time in a long time this year, a group of young people who graduated from city schools who are joining our own city schools operations team, which means that our own graduates are helping to keep those 21st century school buildings in place. And I just also have to say, I have the most fabulous senior team that anybody could ask for. And I actually felt a little guilty sitting there hearing the accolades attributed to me, because they're the ones who do the hard work every single day. And then finally, I want to thank, and the only way that I knew this was not about summer learning, was when my husband and two of my daughters walked through the door. That was the giveaway. A cabinet gave me a surprise brunch last week, and I was barking at them, why didn't you start eating before I got here? And then I saw my husband and two of our three daughters, and I went, what are you doing? And the same thing happened today. And I just have to say, my one hesitation about taking this job 6 years ago was I did not want it to impact my marriage nor my children. And God has been faithful. I am married to the best man anywhere. And he is very reserved. He has learned patience. He does not punch members of the press in the nose. Instead, he prays, he covers me, he distracts me from all of the hubbub going around. And Lou, baby, I love you. And then to two of our three girls who are here, and all three, I was worried about them. But what's so amazing about having three totally different and incredibly amazing and gifted daughters is they don't really care what the three letters after my name are. I'm still mom, they're still cranky teenagers, and they help to remind me what is most important. I thank you for this. This is, I'm still kind of stunned because I really had the summer learning words. By the way, sign up for summer learning. 22,000 seats. You can still get space, but thank you, everyone. I really don't know what to say except there is no better place to serve than Baltimore City, and the proof is here. All the board chairs and board members, God told me when I came into this, and I am going to speak this, that my board was secure. And this board has supported me. That doesn't mean they agree with everything I do. That doesn't mean that they don't push me. That actually does not mean that they don't sometimes vote no. But what it does mean is they are clear that their focus is on children, and that is what enables me to do my job with the depth, the creativity, and frankly, the fortitude that I bring to this work. Thank you, Baltimore City. Thank you, parents. And thank you, everybody, for the second best surprise in like 2 days. I can't believe, I am never surprised. I just need to say that. And to have two amazing surprises. Yeah, this one tops it. And by the way, Senator Ferguson, Senate President Ferguson, you can let Madam McIntyre, where are you? There she is. Yeah, you got the last laugh on this one. This was good. Thank you, everybody.
That's a perfect way to end it. Questions? Reverend Tootin? Oh, hold on.
Yeah, we certainly want to move to another area, but while we have the superintendent here and in the midst of this, we know there's been a lot of things going on, and what about the timing of this for the administration and some of the challenges you're facing? And then I'll come back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I'm going to start, Reverend Toomey, since I got the mic, and say that now is a perfect time. When you're going through tough times like we've had over the past few years, you have to let people who are qualified, who've been doing great work, that they're loved and appreciated for all that they have done. And that's why we're doing it right now. We know that we've been through tough times. Everybody, as you know, you couldn't go into your office for 2 years. Everyone has been through tough times. But when you have a phenomenal leader that has helped us to do amazing things, right? Things that I could only imagine as I sat in a school that didn't have a window or didn't have heat or didn't have air or didn't have a teacher for year after year after year, to see how far we have come, knowing that we have even further to go. Dr. S., do you want to?
Would you like me to say something, Tim?
If you want to.
All right, go ahead.
I would just say, well, for me, one, this is a great up. So, I don't know necessarily how everybody else feels, but for me, we are at a crucial point right now, and it really is a system that is poised. We have come through an incredibly historically challenging historical period. This year, everyone I spoke to said was actually harder than the virtual years, and I don't think that that is unique to Baltimore City. But I will say this, that we have a team in place. There are challenges ahead, but frankly, Tim, there have been challenges from the day I walked into this position. So I don't see this as any different in that we press forward, we continue with the plan, we dig deeply, we correct along the way. This is about continuous improvement, and that does not change based on just everything else going around us. If we were swayed by everything going on around us, we would not be doing anything. We would be immobilized. And I will tell you that is not going to happen. And you talked to principals when I met with them last week, and I said, rest up, because we have work to do. This is not finished. I am not satisfied with where we are, but I will also say we have some of the best people in place. And so we are coming back, we are back, we will press forward, because the families and students of Baltimore City deserve the best.
Mr. Mayor, this is for you and for Senator Ferguson in regards to Governor Hogan directing Maryland State Police to suspend good and substantial reasons standing for wear and carry permits. That's a lot. You know what it is.
Yeah, thank you for that, Tim. Actually, I just saw that when I was walking in here, and we'll be in conversations with our city solicitor. I know that the Attorney General is going to be looking at this. We know that this ruling has devastating consequences, not just here in Baltimore, but around the country. To me, I think that ruling is very asinine when you see what's been happening, when you saw what happened over this country over this holiday weekend. To think that we need more people walking around with concealed weapons when people can't even walk in a 4th of July parade or go to the supermarket or be at a party or just be walking down the street. If anyone who thinks that we need more concealed weapons in this country needs to go get their brain checked.
Senator.
Sure. I mean, look, I think after what happened yesterday, after what happened in Uvalde, Texas, after what we've seen happen on city streets in too many ways and times, the answer is never going to be more guns. That is just never going to be the answer. And, of course, unlike some on the that have doubted institutions, we're going to comply with the law in the state of Maryland. But we're going to look very closely. We're going to look very, very closely at the opinion and make sure that we can do whatever we can to protect Marylanders across the state. That will be constitutional and will be thoughtful and will recognize that more guns will never be the answer to solving gun violence. It will never be the answer. And so we will do it in a constitutional way, but we will make sure that the people of Maryland are as safe as possible in the midst of a very scary time where gun violence is simply out of control.
Mr. President, if you would, New York passed a law restricting locations such as government buildings and schools to carry weapons. Is that something that you all
We will be exploring every single possibility to ensure that people who are taking their children to school, to going to vote, coming into City Hall, going to libraries, going to public places, don't have to worry about the person with a gun on their hip. And we will do whatever it takes. We'll do it lawfully, we'll do it thoughtfully, but we will be managing the situation as best as possible with a new piece of legislation this upcoming session.
And if you don't mind, one more question. Wouldn't it have been more prudent for the governor to wait for a challenge to the law rather than do it now? Is this purely political, do you believe?
You know, look, I don't. That's for commentators, not necessarily for me. I would say, you know, when the Supreme Court came down, that's we knew that there was likely going to be a challenge to the law, and we are going to comply. That is what we do here in Maryland, is we follow the law. You know, we are here celebrating somebody that has dedicated their life and has understood the issues that come with school violence and all of the complexities that come. You know, and that is the context that we're talking here. And I think that's the thing, is it makes me angry that we're having a conversation that people can walk around with guns on their hips and that's the way that we should act in Maryland to try and reduce violence. It's crazy. It is crazy. And, you know, we have to follow the law, and we will. But we're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that people are safe.
And Alexa, before you start, I just think to back up my Senate President, we've seized over 1,200 guns off the streets of Baltimore this year, made over 700 gun arrests already this year. The fact that that great work that our police department is doing is going to be hindered by things like this, the possibility that more people are going to have that, is something that we shouldn't be even thinking or fathoming right now with the amount of violence that we have here and across this country. Alexa?
Going off of the violence, we're in the first several days of July. We've had 10 people shot, at least 3 homicides. Have you met with the commissioner about this violence, and what is the response? What will be the response to it?
Yeah, Alexa, I think you know the answer to the question. Talk with the commissioner every day, right? The response is going to be, as always, to make sure that we're tracking down who these people are, make sure that we're tracking down who's bringing these illegal guns and giving them to them so they can use them from whatever state that they come from, to make sure, in one of these cases you're talking about, it's a historical case. The person was shot a few years ago and died. That person has already been arrested, and we're going to continue to adapt to make sure that we do whatever we can do to intercede in violence, even though we know ultimately if someone has made that up in their mind, it's going to be very hard to stop it, but we're damn sure going to try each and every day. We had a shooting over the weekend that one of our officers just happened to witness and made an arrest right there on the spot, because we are going to continue to be vigilant in making sure that we do all that we can do to hold people accountable, while it seems that some parts of our government just think that more guns on the street is the answer when people are being gunned down in parades and stores and church on city streets across this country.
And just
No comment. Talk to the city solicitor. Talk to the law department.